George S. Patton Jr. was one of the most influential and successful generals who fought for the U.S. He commanded U.S. soldiers in World War I and World War II. Patton and his men accomplished their missions with remarkable success in many European countries, including France, Italy, and Germany. His reputation and fame rapidly grew due to his sharp temper and great war tactics. Because of his temper, he was nicknamed Old Blood and Guts, and was sometimes disliked but respected by most of his troops. Even if he was harsh, many believe this was one reason for his success in battles. Due to these victories, many lives were saved in World War II.
General George S. Patton Jr. was born in San Gabriel, California on November 11, 1885. He had 6 brothers and was in a wealthy family. He was one of 4 of them who attended Virginia Military Institute for their education, but he really wanted to attend West Point. He worked hard at VMI and managed to get accepted into West Point. He was able to try out for many sports and became exceptionally good at equestrian, but was not so good at other sports like football. He was then chosen for the Olympic team and competed for a medal in the 1912 Summer Olympic pentathlon event in Sweden. He placed 5th for the U.S.
Shortly after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, President Franklin Roosevelt chose Patton to prepare troops for the harsh conditions they would experience in North Africa. General Patton chose to train the troops in the Mojave Desert. The conditions were primitive. They had no barracks nor running water. Their perils of flash floods, sandstorms, snakes, and scorpions would push soldiers to their limits of endurance. Training was brutal. Patton made the troops undergo daily physical exercises, hand-to-hand combat, line fire exercises, and grueling marches. The soldiers learned to live with the little essentials they needed. Throughout his time training troops, Patton pleaded to his superiors to send him overseas to fight. On July 1942, he finally got his wish. Before the landing on Morocco's Atlantic coast, Patton spoke to his troops. He said, "We shall attack and attack until we are exhausted, and then we shall attack again." Shortly after saying these words, they got attacked, but eventually won Morocco from Germany. A month after that, General Patton prepared for an invasion of Sicily. The invasion was a success, but Patton's reputation was hurt after an accident where he slapped a soldier suffering from shell shock and accused him of cowardice.
Another large battle that General George Patton also commanded was Battle of the Bulge. Patton suspected that the Germans were up to no good from the start. When he got news that the First Army was under attack, he rushed to the battlefield in the middle of a giant snowstorm. When he got there, he smashed into the German flank and saved the war. If it were not for him, their armies would have been badly defeated with tons of deaths.
All throughout the battles, he kept his quick temper and opinions on how the men should act. From his speech to the Third Army on June 5, 1944, he expressed a lot of his opinions. He said, "All real Americans love the sting and clash of battle, and all real men love to fight." His colorful words not only show his personality, but also how he believed soldiers should act. Behind all of these strong words, however, he is very intelligent in the way he spoke. He always knew what to say and spoke very simply to each individual soldier. He was good at public speaking and had a purposeful stride that showed his strength. Sometimes he abused his power. In World War I, something called shell shock was diagnosed. This happened to many of the general soldiers in World War II, and instead of feeling bad for them, he slapped them. This could have been because he thought they were trying to get out of the war, which was common at the time. These slapping incidents happened multiple times. It showed how difficult it was to keep an army motivated up and fighting. Before his sad death, he received many awards, including the Purple Heart, the Mexican Service Badge, the Silver Star, and many more.
On December 21st, 1945, at 5:55 p.m. and 60 years old, he died with a blood clot moving towards his heart. The blood clot happened 12 days after a car accident where he was the only one who was injured. From this, he was also paralyzed and crushed 2 vertebrae. People are still debating today if he was purposefully killed by a rival of the U.S. or if it was just bad luck. He was buried in Luxembourg with fallen soldiers that were in his army. The French offered to bury him in Napoleon's tomb, but he was not buried there because his wife decided that he would rather be buried with fallen soldiers that were in his army. The ceremony was in a church, then he was taken on a train and buried. He had saved so many lives in his life and done so much for the U.S.
General George Patton may be dead, but his battle tactics are still used in combat today. The soldiers in the army still learn a lot from Patton's leadership styles and actions during World War II. Patton is considered a national hero by some people because he worked fast on his feet and had remarkable control over his troops, which led to success in the war. He was well known for his bad temper toward his troops, which was the reason he had such great control over them, and they had a respect for Patton. He despised cowards and hated the Nazis. During his time as a general, Patton gave many speeches to his troops that gave them inspiration.
General George S. Patton was a great and noble general for the U.S. and saved many lives of people from multiple different countries, including people from France, Italy, and the U.S. He had many victories and helped the Allies win World War II with his sharp tactics, great leadership, and inspiring speeches that helped soldiers become dedicated. Patton served our country against people who were cruel and controlling to everyone different from themselves.